How's it going, YouTubers? This is Iron Fist LMS, once again coming to you from the LMS live stream over at Twitch TV. Now today I have another upgrade and certification video guide for you guys, this time featuring the Liberator, the 3-man bomber aircraft in Planetside 2. Now in this guide I aim to cover the various different weapons you can purchase for the Lib, as well as the various upgrades and certifications which can be purchased through the in-game cert system. So let's go ahead and get started. Now the first upgrade I want to talk about today is the all-important utility slot. Now this one was a really hard decision for me. I was totally stuck between the decoy flares and the afterburner upgrade. But after a lot of in-game testing, I decided it was probably best to take the afterburner upgrade. Now the reason I made this decision was because 90% of the time in-game, I found myself getting taken out by either enemy fighter aircraft or ground AAs such as Maxes or Skyguards, rather than any type of lock-on rockets. Now the afterburner allows you to quickly escape from enemy aircraft as well as flak by simply running back towards your friendly lines and hopefully have them help you out with the situation. Now you can also use the terrain in Planetside 2 to be able to lose missile locks, so in balance I found the afterburner was the best one to take. Now it doesn't come cheap, it does cost 500 certs, so you probably want to take this one towards the end of your build order. Now the next cert was a really easy decision for me to take, to be honest with you. This one is the defensive slot item and it can only go to the composite armor upgrade. Now the composite armor upgrade simply gives you added resistance to flak and small arms fire, which is extremely important in the Lib, as you tend to be a great big flying shoot me target for all the enemy AA in the area. So go ahead and fill those cert points into the composite armor as soon as possible. Now the final general cert that you can get for the Liberator is the performance slot. Now here I decided on the vertical thrust upgrade, which is the same as I use in my ECF aircraft such as the Reaver. Now I decided on this simply because you can increase the maximum speed of your aircraft by using the fly with the spacebar maneuver, which is where you point the nose of the aircraft slightly towards the ground and continue to fly along using the W and the elevate key, which increases your maximum speed. Now not only does it increase your speed, but it also gives your tail gunner a greater range of vertical vision, which basically means he can have a better shot at taking out any enemy aircraft that might be following you and trying to take you out. When you combine this speed upgrade with the afterburners, you can really get some speed going, which allows you to escape from dangerous situations such as AA maxes. So go ahead and stick your cert points in the vertical thrust upgrade. Now the first weapon upgrade I'm going to talk about for the Lib is the actual pilot's front mounted cannon. Now not many people know about this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you all now. Anybody with 50 cert points, go out and get the tank buster cannon for the Lib. It, as I say, only costs 50 cert points and it absolutely wrecks everything. Aircraft, infantry, vehicles, anything you can think of, it absolutely destroys it. As you can see here, I'm taking out enemy aircraft in around 10 to 12 shots, so you can take out 2 aircraft per clip if you can aim properly. Now I was having a lot of fun on Ezimir, as you can see, just going 3 or 4v1 against sides and winning simply because you can take them out before they even know what happened to them. Now after I got done killing a lot of these pilots, I was getting a whole bunch of hate tales in game, accusing me of being a hacker and using rate of fire hacks and all sorts of stuff, which did make me laugh a bit. I think I'm going to have to make a Liberator air-to-air movie in the near future to really demonstrate the power of this thing. Now one piece of advice for you guys is that this cannon doesn't carry much ammo by default. So go ahead and stick like 10-15 cert points into the additional ammo capacity and it's going to save you a whole bunch of time and effort and stop you having to go back to the towers all the time to go and get ammo. Now what happens in the next clip is really pretty funny. We were on the ground repairing damage from flak and a scythe and a sunderer managed to stumble across us in the middle of nowhere. Now I get in the pilot seat and take the scythe out in under a second and turn around and kill the Sunday as well for a bunch of XP and kills. Now do bear in mind that SOE probably will change this cannon in the near future, but while it costs only 50 cert points, I suggest every Lib pilot goes out and gets it and makes the best of it before SOE hit it with the almighty Nerf bat. Now the next slot up for discussion is the tail gun. Now by default you get a pretty good machine gun in there, the M20 Basilisk, but it is possible to buy the A30 Walker, which is actually aimed to be a sort of air superiority gun and good at taking out enemy aircraft. Now it's really not essential to get it right away, but once you have the cert points available, I suggest you do go ahead and get it, as it can kind of be a lifesaver if you get that Mozzie behind you while you've got low health. He gets close to you, you can take him out really fast with the A30 Walker, as it has like 2 or 3 times higher rate of fire than the standard machine gun. I also suggest that if you do get the A30 Walker, that you go ahead and get the first or second level of the zoom optics, as well as a couple of boxes in the maximum ammo capacity, simply because it flies through ammo really quickly. Now it's really not that accurate at long range, as you're going to see here. Even with the zoom optics, I'm struggling to hit him from so far away, as the bullets seem to have a sort of random spread and they seem to drop as well. Now as the Mozzie gets closer to me, that's where this thing really comes into its own. He decides to try and get right up our ass, and once he does, I take him out in what, 10-15 shots, so you can see the power of it right here. Now moving on to the main bomber's gun, the first one I'm going to discuss is actually the Dalton, which has been recently changed by SOE. It's had its damage reduced. Now the Dalton is the anti-vehicular bomb and is only really good against sort of main battle tanks, Sunderers and Lightnings. It's not all that good against infantry, as it does have a very limited splash damage. So if you want to go out tank hunting, this is the gun for you. Now one of the other advantages of it is that because vehicles render a lot further away than infantry do, you can get the Lib pilot to sit you up nice and high, away from flak obviously, so you can sit in relative safety near the flight ceiling and bomb down onto the vehicles. Now I took out a Prowler in like 3 or 4 direct hits, but the Sunday was a lot more difficult and we had to run away before we took it out. Now the next gun is my personal favourite of the 3. It's the Zephyr anti-infantry cannon. Now it really does what it says on the tin. It is superb against infantry and is great for camping bases when you see a lot of foot zergers down there. Now one thing to bear in mind though is that because infantry in Planetside 2 renders a lot closer to you than vehicles do, you do have to get your pilot to fly pretty low to be able to actually see the infantry and be able to shoot at them, otherwise they don't render for you. So while you do probably get more kills with this thing, there is more risk attached to it because you do have to fly lower, and obviously then you're pretty vulnerable to either lock-on rockets or flak, which is why I suggest you get obviously the afterburner upgrade so you can run away if your health starts to get low. Now the splash damage on this thing is pretty insane, so if you want to rack up kills and points, this is the way to do it. Now the last weapon that you can get for the Liberator's bomber's seat is the Shredder. Now the Shredder is the default weapon that comes with the Lib, and you only really should use it if you can't afford to purchase any of the other 2 weapons. Now the Shredder is basically 4 chain guns stuck together, but unfortunately it sounds and looks a lot cooler than it actually performs, because it is pretty damn useless, to be honest with you. While it can take out infantry fairly effectively, you do have to have very good aim, and you can only sort of pick them off one by one because it doesn't have, let's say, the splash damage of the Zephyr cannon, so you have to kind of pick and choose your targets very carefully. We did also test it against vehicles, but unless you were hitting the vehicles in the very rear of the armor, it did practically nothing. So my advice to you guys is go ahead, get the Dalton or the Zephyr cannon as soon as possible and kind of make it a speciality of either taking out tanks or infantry. So that's all for today guys. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope this guide was useful to you. If it was, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. As always, I welcome any sort of comments or feedback that people might have in order to help me produce better content in the future. Until next time guys, take it easy and have a good one.